Hello and welcome to the FieldComm.net training series. In this session we're going to learn how to invoice preservation work orders. I've got a list of completed preservation orders on the screen in front of me, and I'm going to choose to invoice two of them right now. I'm going to start with the first item in the list. So I'm going to open this up by double-clicking on it. Once I double-click on the order, it's going to open up, and I'm going to want to go to the Invoice tab. Now, to begin invoicing this order, I'm going to click on the New Invoice button. By clicking on the New Invoice button, I've now enabled the Invoice Wizard. And the Invoice Wizard is the next step that we're going to take. So I'm going to click on the Invoice Wizard button. Clicking on the Invoice Wizard button opens up the Invoice Wizard itself, which is a screen which is showing the work order items that were on the work order, as well as the items that I'm going to invoice for. Now I'm going to click the Add All button, and the Add All button is going to add all of the services from the work order to the invoice itself. And it asks me for confirmation when I'm adding each one. Now that I've got all my services moved over to the invoice itself, I'm going to need to adjust what I'm charging the client. So, you can adjust each of those prices. If there's an item that requires multiple quantities, for instance, I have a debris removal right here with multiple paint cans, you can adjust the quantities by adjusting the quantity column. And FieldComm will automatically calculate out how much the total amount is. Occasionally you'll run across a service which is not going to be billed. In my example here, we have some photos, and I'm not going to bill for those. In that case, I don't have to enter in a unit price. However, I can leave that on the invoice if I want to acknowledge to my client that I had taken those photos. Once I've finished, I can then click the Close button. And now I'm going to see all of those lines inside of the Invoice tab. So I've chosen what I'm going to be billing, and I need to prepare this invoice to be sent to the client. And I'm going to be doing that inside the View Invoice button. When I click on View Invoice, it first asks what I want to choose for the invoice date. And I can leave it as it is, or I can change it by clicking on the Invoice dropdown. And then I'll click the OK button. FieldComm wants me to confirm that I want to bill $0 for this one invoice line. It's just making sure that we didn't forget to bill for something. Since this is something that we intentionally left at 0, I'm just going to click on Yes. And now we have a PDF view of the invoice that is being sent to the client. To get this actually sent to the client, I'm going to need to create it as a PDF that we can upload to them. And I'm going to do that by clicking on the Save to Filing Cabinet as PDF button. After I've clicked on that button, then FieldComm confirms that it has saved it as a PDF, and I'll click OK. Now that we've created a PDF out of it, I now need to change the job status. Currently, the job status is work completed, and I want to make the job status invoiced. And I'm going to do that by clicking on the Post Invoice button. Once I've clicked on Post Invoice, FieldComm asks us to confirm the sent to client date, and I can change that date there if I want to. And when I'm finished, I can click the OK button. Now that I've done that, I'm finished with the invoice as we see it here. So I'm going to close out of it. Now we've got the invoice prepared, and it's sitting inside the filing cabinet, and it's waiting to be sent. So I'm going to go to the Filing Cabinet tab itself, and I'm going to the Documents section. And inside Documents, I can see the invoice. To send the invoice to the client, I'm going to go to the Upload checkbox, and the Upload checkbox is selected. And to wrap things up, I'm going to click on the Save and Close button in the bottom right side of the screen. Now that work order has been saved. I'm going to do the same thing with this invoice as well. I'm going to open up that work order, and I'm going to go back over to the Invoice tab. And I'm going to start creating a new invoice. Now, this work order we weren't actually able to perform, and so we're just going to make a trip charge. So I'm going to go back to the Invoice Wizard. In the previous work order that we were invoicing for, we had clicked the Add All button to move all of the services from the work order to the invoice. But we don't want to do that here because we're just billing for a trip charge. So we're going to create the line by hand. To do that, I'm going to click on the description column, and I'm going to type in what I'm billing for. In this case, it's going to be a trip charge. And after I've typed that in, I'm going to go to the unit price. I'm going to say it's $20. And I'm just going to mark it as being a quantity of 1. Then I'm going to click Close. The rest of the procedure for sending this invoice to the client is exactly the same. I'm going to go to the View Invoice button, and now that I've clicked on the button, FieldCom asks me to confirm the invoice date. And I'll click OK. I'm going to save it to the filing cabinet so I can upload it to the client. And I'll click OK to confirm that that PDF has been created. And then I'm going to click on Post Invoice. And we're doing that, remember, so that the job status is going to change from work completed to invoiced. And I'm clicking OK to confirm. Now that we're finished with the invoice view, we're going to close that screen. And to finish things up, we're going to go over to the filing cabinet, and we're moving to the documents section. And that way we're able to upload the invoice. So now that we've marked that invoice for upload, we can save and close the work order. So now we've invoiced both of those work orders. And if I click the refresh button up at the top of the screen, we can see that the job status has indeed changed to invoiced for both of them. Now that we've completed that, we're free to go to the Exchange screen. And inside the Exchange screen, we can click on the Send Receive button to send those invoices back to the client.